Here we are. We are going into, if the judges say it's good, you can go for it. So we are headed into the top 8. And for this, we're getting another Italian on stream. We got to keep talking that Italian story. And this is Matteo. Matteo is one of the Gorechosen players that got in. Tell us about who he's playing.
So Matteo is playing Willy this year. Willy's playing Headsmen. He's paired himself with Blazing Assault and Reckless Fury, so a very aggressive, strike-focused approach. Headsman, of course, as we talked about before and featured once on the stream, capable of dealing 4 damage with the Inspired Wielder using no rune marks. So can possibly slay Dromm in 1 hit if Inspired, and could possibly take out a couple of other fighters as well. So lots of good things to happen. Willy, an incredibly skilled player from a long time ago, runs a straight out of Shadespire group from Netherlands, if you're aware. And so we should be able to see another good European showdown. Again, I'm sorry it's late in the night for you Europeans, but hopefully you're staying up. It's a Saturday. World Championships of Warhammer. You can't miss it. So
I think an interesting thing about Matteo's pairing, it is Gorechosen, which you've seen a lot, and of course there's Reckless Fury in there. It pairs just too well, but he's got Countdown to Cataclysm.
Yes, we have not seen Gorechosen use Countdown to Cataclysm yet, so we'll see if there's any interesting play lines, different strategies. Our 2 previous Gorechosen on the stream did not use that deck, so this will be a little bit of a different approach. We may see some different things, and it shows there's more than one way to play this warband into the top 8, so that'll be interesting. Another thing to note, we know Matteo is a good player. Italy's done very well. They've earned their national standing already, and we'll see if they continue to develop that. Matteo twice has faced him on, the former world champion. Twice has defeated him in this tournament. So
it's impressive.
We may find ourselves with a King Slayer here. And Young Willy is a king, so you better look out. That said, Headsmen are no slouch. He's a very skilled player, and there's a great counterpunch potential out of that. So we'll see exactly what happens, and I'm excited because this one really could go either way.
It'll be interesting. I haven't looked at the rest of the pairings. Did we think the Italians or
the other two Italians are playing into each other? So good news, one Italian definitely is going into the semifinals. Bad news, one of them definitely is not.
Not only that, but it's the 2 Italians who are running Thricefold and Congress. So 2 of our only non-Dromm things are
one of
going
them is
to get
getting dropped
eliminated.
today.
So, silver lining, one of them will go forward, I suppose. Anything else we want to talk about, or we want to? These fellas are still shuffling up. They've had a little bit more of a break than we have. Our game was the longest one we were tracking.
Yes.
So, again, nobody's ever required to be on the stream, and everyone's been enthusiastic about it. So it's been cool to have them on here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Willy was asking if he could get his nails done before getting on there. So
also asked if we can give him 200 euros payable in euros, and I never heard of the euro bucks. I only use American dollars around these parts. Well, I think there's not much left to do other than turn to the action. We're going to watch 2 of the finest players in the world show us 2 of their finest play styles and see just exactly who's going to come out on top. So players shuffling their decks, getting ready for the cut. And soon we'll have a roll for priority. We are, again, using the primacy token to indicate underdog there at the top of your screen. Players sharing a lot of banter at the start, perhaps recounting their previous victories, maybe friends they have in common. Underworlds is a pretty tight-knit community, so it's good to see some of these folks meet each other once again at the Worlds.
We're going to periodically kind of blank out some of our graphics. It looks like the sharpener is going to be hidden with how things are. 2 Italians, 2 Canadians, 2 English.
Yeah, so there is a fixed thing. I did confirm that with John Barmore. There's nothing that they can do once the top 16 are set. That bracket is fixed, so no way to manipulate those things. Wins advance, and that's all it is. And fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of countrymen are playing each other. But it does mean that at least one of those countrymen are going to advance. So we know that there's going to be some nationalities represented in the top 4, and it's still anyone's game. Remember, of course, all the other people who have been knocked out of the top bracket or placed into the Worlds bracket earlier are still playing games, will continue to play games tomorrow and earn their nation's scores, as well as across the other 3 game systems that are represented here. And there will be a national trophy per game and as overall as well. So everyone still has something to play for, and your country of choice still could come out on top no matter what happens in Underworlds itself.
And if you've made the trip here, sure, if you've got knocked out and you can't be number 1, man, being able to say, like, I was number 9 or number 10 at worlds. You know, I'm the 10th best in the world.
I can say that last year I was number 4 in Tacoma, which is about as good as it gets for me. So, yeah, these guys have already lofty laurels on their shoulders. And, I mean, there's, of course, you want to win. But having made it this far by itself is a monumental accomplishment. And to have made the top cut and to advance to this top 8, potentially to advance to the top 4, I mean, bragging rights for the rest of your life, really.
Brandon Huss asking some about the more delicate parts of the experience here.
I would say that fortunately we're positioned very far away from the 40K area, and so the smell has been relatively positive.
It's actually been better the last couple of days. I think it took them a while to get the heat up on the first day. I remember about 45 minutes into the first round, while we were waiting for our stuff to get off delay, I walked by a few tables and I was struck pretty powerfully. But some of the folks here were complaining about how cold it was, but I think that's an intentional strategy in order to manage some of those issues.
Yeah. On that front, I did hear of a story. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to choose to believe it is. There's somewhere out there a friendly local game store who, if you attend on their Magic the Gathering nights and you bring a stick of deodorant with you and show it at the door, you get $5 off entry to the tournament.
I will say who doesn't smell bad at all is the Underworlds players, all of them dressed to the nines, looking great. Yeah, I can see the 2 Italians over here. Alessandro grimly
giving us a salute. I mean, if I'm Alessandro, I'm just happy I made it past that last round, and
yeah,
you know he's going to have a tough fight against his countrymen. But you do have to say that, hey, at least someone from Italy is advancing to the quarterfinals, and even if it's not me, that's got to still make you feel good one way or the other. All right, players shake hands across the table, and we are live. Top 8 of Worlds. Willy of the Netherlands, Matteo of Italy. Only one of them's making to the quarterfinals. Semifinals.
Semifinals. These are the quarters.
Been a long day.
Oh, yes, it has. I don't know if I've done this much passive sitting in quite a long time. Well, let's call it active sitting.
Active sitting, yeah. I've been leaning forward in my chair an awful lot today.
Only bring part of your chair because you only need the edge of it.
That's what's the I don't know if you do it around your parts, but we have a monster truck rally.
Yeah.
The announcer puts on his raspiest voice and says, Sunday, 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 only at the Tacoma Dome. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the air. And I'm pretty sure Sunday, 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 I'll be feeling pretty similarly. Willy does have those knuckle dusters on. Thank you for commenting on that, Rob. A number of pretty fancy rings. He's got a long reach, too, so if Matteo does anything untoward, he might catch a jab across the table. Get plated up nice and good.
Willy mulliganing power and Matteo mulliganing both.
Again, pairings are open, but deck lists are not, and you do not have to reveal your mulligan cards in Umberguard, so no information has been shared beyond the pairings with your opponent, and no one knows exactly what's going on here. Cataclysm in play, so we'll see how that shapes out. And what Willy does is he try not to take people out in order not to advance that tracker. Once it reaches 2, do we even care? Looks like Matteo using a similar strategy to his Italian teammate there, that will have a tracker at the top as well as a die to indicate the value, starting at 1.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. As a reminder, we haven't seen Countdown to Cataclysm paired in with the Gorechosen all that often.
All right, Matteo has rolled a hammer. Willy with the orange dice has rolled a sword, and Emberguard's sword is superior to hammer for the roll-off, so Willy has priority and will orient the boards as he sees fit. And we saw last game, one potential counterplay, at least from a positional player's perspective, is to use this block text side. We'll see if Willy takes that, knowing that he's also going to be playing an aggressive strategy. He may want an open board since flying fighters no longer pass through those block texts during movement.
Oh, he's
keeping it on the blocked side, keeping it on the 5s orientation, but choosing the other side of the board for himself. Matteo making a face like that wasn't what he wanted to see. Top level players often are very invested in board orientation, and I know that Monkey Sacks out of Italy has a lot to say about boards. So you can assume the Italian players are all well versed in the advantages of each board side and each orientation.
Yep.
All right, treasure tokens are coming out. All right, so Willy has oriented the boards and shows his territory. Matteo has drawn his extra card, and Matteo will place the first treasure token in neutral territory, choosing to place it there at the top of the board. We are in the 5s orientation. A little bit closer to start the game for fighters, which suggests that Willy may be going for a more aggressive strategy, as his deck pairing would suggest.
So that to me looks like Matteo thinks that Shocking Assault might be in there. If he's, well, it must not be, because Willy's willing to put more into neutral territory as well.
And the question is Willy thinking about that? Because Countdown to Cataclysm, perhaps the least represented of the 4 Ember Guard core box decks in this tournament. And so, not to suggest he's not familiar with the pairing, but
the Italians,
maybe something that's not on the top of his mind.
Yeah, Italians clearly thinking highly of it. At least 2 of them are using it. We don't yet know what the Thricefold Discord player is using.
All right, treasure tokens are flipped. So fighter placement. Matteo again has the first choice of where to place a fighter, thinking over his options quite carefully. And Willy will get to place 2 unanswered fighters at the end with full knowledge of where Matteo's fighters are. Herax up front, as we've discussed before, only giving up 1 bounty and less worried about losing him. Willy's model's in this beautiful, like, pearlescent, reflective ghost.
Yeah.
Green and purple. I really do like the color shift metal there. Scriptor of this. No, that's the bearer of the block, dead in the center of the field. A strong offensive output fighter without having to reveal where the wielder will end up.
4 health on that one. And a great candidate for resurrection. For folks who might not be familiar with the Headsman's War Scroll, they are going to be condemning a fighter each turn. That's going to be right at the start of the battle round. They'll pick a fighter that's within 5 of the scripter of the sentence. That fighter will be condemned. Then each of the headsmen will have the opportunity to inspire by damaging that fighter.
Damaging, not targeting, but must damage.
Yeah. Eternal Duty is the resurrect. That requires the leader to slay an enemy, and then we'll bring a fighter back on full health right next to him. Wet the Blade. The sharpener is able to, once per game, give the wielder Grievous. If, when that attack is made, the sharpener is adjacent to the wielder.
Does it need to be the wielder who maintains Grievous?
It does.
It does have to be the wielder.
Attack. Discorporate, an ability that we've seen used to great effect, is a core ability, so it takes a full action. But you can pick a friendly fighter, use this core ability, remove that fighter from the battlefield, and then place them in an empty hex. You can only use this ability once per game. We've seen it. Willy may be using it for positioning, but we've seen it to chase down fighters, make some hard choices. And the last one is Cackling Court. Used immediately after you pick an enemy fighter to be the target of an attack. If it is flanked or surrounded, rolls of both swords and hammers are successes. We've got a surrounded versus hammer. Looks like Matteo took that.
Yeah, that one. Willy using the orange dice. I think it was Willy who won that. Notably, the scripter of the sentence placed within 5 of both Herax and Dromm. He did count those hexes, and unfortunately, the Gorehulk is further than 5 away. So Willy unable to condemn him.
Very, as far back as you can get with the wielder. I think he knows that that's going to be a deciding piece.
Gorehulk potential to double charge. You want to make sure you take only 1 hit from him and not 2 to start the game, because the wielder is likely integral to his game plan here with so many high wound fighters to deal with.
We're getting an early look into Matteo's hand. I do believe I saw spread havoc. Not sure. We'll see. Nope, that's something else. Matteo with a nice paint job too. I like the red skin tones on
Absolutely, yeah. And it's nice to have the rune of corn underneath Dromm's feet picked out in a contrasting color.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the cooler parts of that model is the fact that he stands on a bleeding rune. Different players have used different strategies to highlight that, but I personally prefer the classic red myself.
Yeah. This is what we often see from some of these top level players. They take just that little extra time for that first one. Dromm right away.
Dromm coming in, rolling a crit and a hammer. Excellent starting roll. Willy placing the damage on the wrong fighter card.
Yep. That's going to generate blood tithe. Let's see what he wants to do with that, if he wants to use it right away. I think his blood tithe is probably being tracked by those tiny little counters up there, those dials in the corner of the board.
So it'll be a little more difficult for us to understand.
Looks like he's used right away. He's going to try and get the scripter out of here immediately. One success.
Sideways,
this
one
is
success.
savable.
And that is one dodge, so he does get away with it.
Very aggressive opening.
Still pretty sure Willy has the wounds on the wrong fighter card. Hopefully that doesn't cause a problem down the line.
Yep. The wielder getting involved. So
there we go. All right, we got that fixed. So looks like it shouldn't affect the outcome of the game coming through here. Glad to see that taken care of.
A push has been used to drag the wielder over.
Call of blood there, I imagine. Putting him in range of at least Herax.
Don't think it was that because
you think Willy chose to do it?
Yep. I think Willy pulled the push off. But then there's an upgrade just got dropped on Dromm, which is fighters adjacent must charge.
That's a excellent counterplay. The wielder maybe not ready to charge just yet. Now he likely will later, but it means that push will not allow him to generate multiple attacks.
It's a powerful control upgrade. We are seeing that the condemned fighter is Dromm. So opportunity to inspire.
If Willy able to manufacture a push of his own or a drive back, bringing the scripter in, if he can hit this attack and drive Dromm back, that will allow the wielder to charge, which he was already going to have to do, but at least charge to a separate position. Maybe push Dromm into that stagger hex if he's lucky, free up his ability to do another push in some way.
So we're bringing a counter charge to come back in.
Again, a countdown to Cataclysm card that we haven't seen played a whole lot, but could be very impactful here.
Willy looking for 3 swords.
Willy rolling the orange dice here, so the red ones in the tray are from earlier. And there's one sword
and there's
one crit on defense. The Italians continue to roll defense dice well.
Now that positioning with the sharpener means that the wielder could potentially come in with Grievous. It's still not quite enough to kill Dromm unless there's some damage chipped in. I don't know if the sharpener is long for this world, though.
I would imagine he's an easy target. We do have a Herax available to hit without charging. Gorehulk not currently able to reach. But Herax can do 2 damage right away with 3 swords and a flanked, so if I'm the scripter, I'm starting to worry. I mean, the sharpener.
Wheelfish pointing out, based on presumably mirror matches, there will be at least 2 Dromm in the top 4, and this one will determine if it's 3. There is one guaranteed non-Dromm in the top 4 because the Italians are going to have to cannibalize each other.
I know it's not necessarily relevant to this game, but in the Thricefold versus Kagura matchup, I'm actually kind of curious to see how that plays out. We've seen Kagura very defensible, but Thricefold somewhat reliable in damage output and have a lot of ability to take on fighters at will.
Yeah.
So that one honestly could go either way. You got to imagine that they were playing against each other to prepare for this, so they're both well versed in what the other can do.
That's actually an excellent point. There was some discussion about what is making this Italian team so strong. Now, I know they've been historically very strong in Underworlds. Even in first edition, they were always had good showing in some of the international events. But I'm told that these Italian players actually live pretty close together, so they're able to make a playing pod, kind of test their stuff out. Particularly important when a lot of the preparation for this had to be done in secret because it was with embargo content.
Yeah. If you were under an NDA prior to this event for all the Grand Alliance boxes and the 2 new decks, you couldn't really play with anyone in your local scene who wasn't also under NDA, so kind of hard to prepare for many of these players, and the Italians do have that practice advantage, which seems to have been coming through for them. All right, Herax making a charge here. Granting him a charge token. Reckless Fury, of course, interested in gaining as many charge tokens as possible.
For
Herax throwing 3 swords and no successes here.
A miss.
So maybe Willy's the Sharpener is going to be all right after all.
I think if this was me, I think I would be going for defensive play here. Getting away from that Grievous, very understandable.
Yeah, avoiding the Grievous is important. However, it does free up the wielder to do something other than charge if he wants. Can fly through that stagger hex without trouble, so he could land on token 5 and perhaps take 2 swings.
I wonder if he's going to be tempted to have the scripter pop off a shot, maybe get a stagger, make sure the big hit has more chance.
Not a bad play. Yeah, I think that's what he was going for with the Sharpener in the first place, but scripter can also do that for him. Bearer of the Block coming in, flying over.
Flying through this, picking this spot.
So Dromm will have 1 shield and flanked. The Bearer throwing, I believe, 2 hammers on this attack.
Damage. If this lands, it would get Dromm within kill range. It will also inspire the Bearer, which is probably a pretty big deal.
Dromm is the condemned fighter.
It's sliding people further and further away from Gorehulk, too. We got
one success. And there's a crit again. Italians cannot fail on defense. No amount of practice is going to teach you how to do that. Notably, Enrage has not been used yet.
No, it has actually. It's
Enrage was the one that I thought Call of Blood was used, but I was wrong about that. That's correct.
Yep. Enrage is the one that got used.
Dromm was trying to put 2 attacks out there. Gorehulk now has an upgrade.
Gorehulk is now going to be able to charge in. He just got +2. Rob, I'm glad the board is looking great on stream. One thing that some folks have noticed is that in the tournament pack, it mentions what boards are legal, and it says the season board or the
alternate art from any organized play kits, which we have not seen here at Worlds, but look out for that coming in the future at some point.
That's pretty exciting.
All the more reason to attend a local tournament if you have one. And if not, start up a scene yourself and get one of those kits. Gorehulk charging now since he does have the ability to do +2 move.
There's
one success on those dice, 2 defense.
There's a
those
crit.
Are a crit. So
wow, defensive slugfest here.
Sharpener still able to weather the storm.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Blood Tithe is going to be at 0 right now.
No, he did damage 1, but then he spent it to do Enrage. So I think we're at 0 Blood Tithe right now. Monkey Sex acting, do we think we will see OP kits
I sure hope
soon?
so.
I would love to. Yeah, I plan to run an Emberguard tournament at some point. Without an organized play kit, I will just use an old Shadespire trophy and maybe a couple of spare warbands to hand out as prizes, but it'd be really nice to get access to whatever the goodies are inside that box. But no news that I've had. Call of Blood used here in order to push some people around.
He must have somehow still had Blood Tithe. Oh, well, he did a 2 push that would normally use Blood Tithe. We may have had the Blood Tithe count off somehow.
A push of 2.
Yeah, you only get to.
I think you push each fighter 1 without spending. I'm not sure where they were before they got pushed.
Oh, going in for the big
They're
shot.
coming in. Dromm not within kill range, but Willy not bothering to wait around.
Willy, I think, is thinking about using Cackling Court. He is.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Guarantee this hit here. We have flanked, swords, and hammers. The only thing that won't work is surrounded. And we now have
Twist the knife.
Twist the knife
Yep.
to give an extra damage. Still not killing. Not killing, but leaving vulnerable and potentially inspiring the wielder if this goes through.
Willy just doesn't want to see surrounded results here.
He has a crit and a success. Looks pretty nice. So crit on defense again. Italy cannot be stopped, but still will deal the damage. And with Twist the Knife, that is 4. And being condemned will inspire the wielder. So
wow. Okay.
Pretty good situation here for Willy to be in.
Do you recognize that upgrade? Is that duelist on the wielder?
I would imagine so. He's talking about whether he wants to take that sidestep or not.
Yep.
And yes, that card is duelist under. So he pushed himself away. Notably, Dromm has the if you're next to me, you've got to charge upgrade. So chasing him down means it forces the bearer to charge earlier than perhaps Willy wants to. He might be hoping for some more push or movement tech to be able to get multiple activations out of him later.
It looks like it must have been all 4 of Willy's activations. I wasn't counting them all out as they went. But it looks like he's got them all. No, I'm sorry.
No, I think he has
Willy's
one
got
left.
one left. I'm looking to. For folks at home, we're going to occasionally get mixed up on that. The stream is mirrored relative to how we actually see the players. And so in the back of my head, I'm aware that Willy is sitting on my left, but he's actually
on the right on the screen.
Right on the stream.
Dan Knight from the UK saying that there's going to be the first Warhammer World event on this Thursday, hoping to see a new OP kit there. If that's true, then to make sure you let the community know, because I think a lot of us are anxiously awaiting the contents of that box. We used to see alternate art cards there. Not sure if that'll continue. Sounds like we'll have some alternate art boards, and who knows what else might be in there.
There's got to be an attack coming from Dromm, throwing 4 dice. Looks like we've got 2 successes. This is going to go in on the bearer.
And that's a crit.
Yeah.
And not a success,
reduce
though,
the damage
but
there.
we'll reduce the damage.
And no drive back. Oh.
That may have been the Gorechosen for 4 dice attack.
Oh, I see.
So
that makes more sense.
So you can only reduce to a minimum of 1. So the Sharpener has taken 1 damage.
And here comes Willy's last swing. He could actually kill Dromm if this goes off.
But he has not reached Dromm. Oh, no, this is the scripter of the sentence who's firing off a shot here. So this attack, I think, is 2 hammers with stagger.
I believe that's correct.
2 dice coming in. No flank, no surrounded.
Willy cheering on his ghosts. Oh, it's 3 looking for swords.
There's a crit.
Oh, my gosh, there's a crit.
And not a crit this time.
Wow.
So that'll do it. Dromm is probably out unless Final Frenzy, but I don't know how many Blood Tithe he has left to spend.
Can't be more than...
That seems like a low probability use if he only has a handful. Dromm out, Willy with 3 bounty and an inspired scripter of the sentence. Big swing there for him. Glory tokens being added to the board here. Willy at 4.
Must have scored a... he's already got one
somewhere along
the way.
Have
missed one on the way. Yeah, he had an upgrade. You know, one thing I appreciate is that we've seen Duelist in a lot of decks. It's available in a couple spots. and you like to see how well these top players are valuing positioning.
No secret that many top players really value push tech. Sidestep is a staple card back from the Shadespire days and continues now to be so in the Emberstone Sentinels and Blazing Assault. But additionally, there are other ways to access pushes through War Scrolls, through other power cards, and being able to move a fighter without putting a move token on them, incredibly powerful. And one of the more tactical parts of this game that makes it chess-like. Cataclysm score, as well as...
Yeah, Spread Havoc should only go off for one. And then the other one is...
Yeah, Spread Havoc is much the Cataclysm value, which I can't imagine is too high, though. Because Willy is only holding one token, he will get 4 there, which I don't think would have capped him.
So Cataclysm is currently at 1. We can see the dice for it there. He scored 1 for Spread Havoc, but he was able to score records because he's damaged 2 fighters and he managed to maintain a lower than that. Score. So, a 3 score for Matteo keeps him right there in it.
See what Willy has in his end phase hand.
Yeah.
Now making any decisions with the glory he's just earned. Does he want to place any upgrades, and where are they going?
Willy, a calm demeanor, just seeing what's going to happen. Can't tell by body language if he's expecting to score.
The thing about Willy is he's notoriously difficult to read. A very impassive face, stoic individual. I mean, he's a fantastic player, but he does not get emotional in any sense, positive or negative.
Willy shows one, but not to us. Whatever it was is worth 1 glory.
I don't remember the story, but I do remember an interview with Willy from a long time ago that some thing about his personal background has led him to have a lot of poise under stress, able to handle that kind of stuff well. So definitely a good trait to have under one of these high-pressure circumstances. So he has the, if you drive me back, I can heal myself. Is that what that one is?
We have Keen Eye and Sharpened Points on the Wielder.
Okay. So Wielder is now Cleave, which is great against Dromm's Warband.
The Wielder is going to be able to one-shot... He can actually one-shot
just about anybody now. He's inspired.
Well, not quite the Gore Hulk. We should note that the Wielder has 2... Nope. Wielder has got a clean card. It's
it's Keen Eye on the... That's +1 dice.
Keen Eye +1 dice.
But he'll have to choose between Cleave and Grievous. And then he also has Duelist to skate around after. Tie goes to the underdog. Matteo. And the underdog in this case being Matteo. So we'll see what he chooses to do with it. Dromm being out of the picture does limit his options, so he'll want to get the most utility out of Gore Hulk as he can.
We'll take a second to kind of peek in on the Blood Tithe count, but I think it's pretty low right now.
I can imagine. Dromm was hit. Dromm was hit 3 times.
Yeah.
He hit twice against him, so he's accumulated a total of 5. But I know he spent at least one of them, probably more.
I spent. Yeah, that's true. So we're somewhere in the 2 or 3 range.
Looks like he's taking the attack with Herax. Oh no, that's the Gore Hulk's more accurate attack.
Yep.
Throwing 5 dice here because of some upgrades. 3 hammers and 1 flanked. So
yeah, Keen Eye also.
Even with 2 crits, there's nothing he could have done. So the Sharpener is down. Now remember, Willy does have the ability to resurrect a fighter if the Wielder gets a kill. I don't imagine he would waste it on the Sharpener unless he was really doing well. Bear of the block, still full health. The Scriptor inspired with 2 damage on him. Probably saving that for one of those 2 if they go down later on in the game. But
do we know who's condemned this round?
I do not know who's condemned. I remember last round a token was placed on the fighter's card. I think there is no token on either of those fighters. Presumably they've communicated that to each other verbally, but I don't see anything on the board to indicate it. I suppose we'll see if anyone inspires in the next few activations.
Driven by Pain, that's the heal if you drive me back.
Yes.
The Gore Hulk is starting to rack up the upgrades here.
Yeah, my confusion earlier was that Slick Slash is present on both of those cards. And so Keen Eye being plus dice, and Driven by Pain being heal if you drive me back.
There's a condemned. It looks like it's. Let's see if it's a voluntary. It may be a Ken, and so he may be foregoing it, having forgotten it.
Under what circumstance would you choose, though? Push
Violent
enemy
blast.
fighter within one of a stagger hex.
Yeah.
Cataclysm card coming in powerful here, staggering the bearer of the block and moving the script of the sentence a little further away.
It's a incredibly powerful card when it goes off. It's actually a fairly large area of the board when you combine all two.
Each board having 2 stagger hexes, slightly different positions, but you generally have the access to a fighter or 2 near the mid board who you can push around, sometimes even into that stagger hex, thus staggering them, which is the use we've seen here.
I feel like the blood tithe count is probably low enough. It's safe to maybe throw a stagger in.
Bearer of the block, getting some use out while he's still alive.
So if the bearer lands this hit, it's going to put the Gorehulk in kill range here. If the bearer gets it in for full damage,
and I imagine he would choose not to drive him back so as not to heal him. So both players confirming what upgrades are on the Gorehulk to make sure that Willy has his full information before he rolls his dice.
Gorehulk is about to go up in defense if the Cataclysm count rises. Although be interesting to see. I don't know. Let's see.
And that is a crit and a success. Willy doing very well right now with the attack rolls. No point in rolling because not yet at that 2 defense. Cataclysm counter has not moved up to 2 on the value.
I think even if he's not inspired, if the Gorehulk gets chopped down by the wielder, I think you can count on seeing a Final Frenzy just to keep a big fighter on the board.
Even if you had only a couple of dice, you'd have to spend them because the Gorehulk and Dromm out early means you're in a bad spot. Now, please note at home, Sharpener out means that there's no access to Grievous without card support, but he won't need it. And he does have sharpen points to grant Cleave, so we may see the wielder of the blade, the wielder of the blade come in, swing with Cleave, and flanked from the bearer, which could be the end of Gorehulk's day.
And I will say Grievous is not totally worthless into that. I'd still probably swing with the Cleave, but Grievous for a little insurance would be a nice alternative.
Just one more tick of crit you need on Final Frenzy to bring yourself back. Utter ignorance.
And Stand Fast will let the Gorehulk survive right now.
Yeah, so that would be another reason to have it.
But I think with sharpened points, you probably make that swing.
I think you would.
Every time.
And then even if you fail, we can just see the scripter of the sentence get his 2nd kill of the day if you're lucky.
Yep. Looks like the chat is getting a little fired up for some Warhammer World event. Too close for comfort. Oh, this is great. This is a surge.
From the countdown to Cataclysm, too close for comfort reads, score this immediately after your opponent's power step if each friendly fighter is within 2 hexes of any enemy fighters. So great for small, aggressive warbands like the 3-fighter Gorechosen of Dromm. Pretty likely that they're going to have most of their fighters within 2 of at least 1 enemy. And as long as there's no pushes to get them out of there in the power step, they'll score that pretty reliably. So one other reason to consider Countdown to Cataclysm for your Gorechosen pairings, because that seems like a pretty reliable surge at any stage of the game. Not sure exactly how that happened, but the Gorehulk has moved a little further away, which will make him harder to reach by the wielder.
You got 2 successes.
Because of the stagger reroll here. That's
There's
a crit on defense, so minus 1 damage.
Clutch. That
I think, the bearer taking 2 instead of 3, pretty big here. Countdown to Cataclysm having a couple of pink cards available means that the bearer is not subject to death by those since he's too far away for dying. Stand Fast coming in big for Willy. Another surge scored by Matteo, not sure which.
Matteo holding the lead now, 7-5.
And Willy with the underdog
position
at the
dangerous
top of the screen there, shifting over to his side.
Great fortitude just came down on the Gorehulk.
All right, so that puts him just a little bit further away from being killed. I'm not sure if Willy has any way, other than Discorporate, to get himself into a charge range for later. Another upgrade coming out on the Gorehulk.
Yeah.
Matteo knows that's where, you got to put all your eggs in that basket with Dromm out.
Lacking something better to do, I guess the wielder could just go and chop Herax in half, but I suspect Willy may be trying to figure out a way with some power card support to make that charge happen. He'd really love to get that kill in before too much more blood tithe gets out there. Willy talking through his options out loud here.
Lamenting, I always hate when you have to do something, but you're going to set yourself up in a bad spot to the start of the next round. I always had this problem against Headsmen in the past. Headsmen's War Scroll has been revealed today as well. Pretty interesting. Retains most of the flavor that it had before, but perhaps most interestingly, not taken by anyone here at the World Championships of Warhammer, which, if it was held in the first edition of the game, you imagine would make up a sizable portion of the field.
Rob pointing out correctly that Condemned is not the start of the battle round, but it's picked at the start of your first action step. But Willy has missed that opportunity, it seems. The only difference might be that if he had condemned the Gorehulk, the bearer of the block did manage to land a hit.
Could have inspired there.
We had some +2 move on there. Looks
one
like he's
one thing to know about Willy is Willy has historically been the kind of player who says if you didn't do it in the right window, it didn't happen, and he holds himself to that standard as well. So it looks like there will be no condemned this entire round because Willy is not the kind of guy to ask for do-overs. He likes to win the hard way. Those dice were rolled, but not in the tray. If you chose Cleave, that wouldn't have worked. I'm not clear. It looks like there was at least one crit on that offensive roll. Matteo picking up some wound counters to drop on the Gorehulk here. We'll have to assume it was a successful attack with no stand fast. But because of great fortitude, he still lives.
No stand fast. Choosing not to drive back.
Well, because he'll heal himself if you do.
Oh, that's true.
And also, worth noting, though, if you end adjacent to the Gorehulk, you have to charge based on the upgrade that he's holding. So
and he can't do that anymore.
That may be what he was lamenting there, having to wait for the next round. Placing a fighter on charge, giving himself charged out, and allowing the Gorehulk to
That's going to let
back.
the Gorehulk swing back.
Yes, excellent choice out of Matteo there. Willy might have thought he was a little safer than he truly was. That said, the wielder is on 2 dodge, and he is undamaged at this point. Staggering a fighter equal to his Cataclysm value. He's choosing the wielder, of course. The wielder is now staggered. It's going to increase Gorehulk's odds of landing that big attack. Willy placing guard.
Willy finding a guard token.
I think he has the wrong side, and we figured it out. All right.
It's some secret tech.
Gorehulk rolling what looks like 3 attack dice coming in.
So he must be going for the big damage. That makes sense.
I don't see why you do it any other way, unless you were just trying to get some. Only 2, but 2 hammers here. And
2 hammers.
2 hammers. He does have a reroll from Stagger, but still only 2 hammers. So 2 dodge here, unless there's defensive upgrades I'm not aware of.
I think would very much like to stand fast if he could, but he cannot.
Not this time. That's
and
3 damage on the wielder.
Matteo,
and the drive
back for sure. Because perfect cut.
There you go. Because there were no successes in defense. So a lot of people evaluating that card upon release saying it's not that great of a card. I remember someone even saying, for me, it's the perfect cut from my Nemesis deck. And yet we've seen the Italians take it twice now, and to great success so far. So they may know something the rest of us don't.
We did just see the Gorehulk inspire.
And Herax will inspire as well.
Now let's take a look at the cards out here. Does the scripter have the ability to close this out with a lucky charge, 3 swords attack?
Well, I would say yes, because I think we have only +1 health.
Yeah.
Cataclysm Tracker's still at 1.
Yeah.
Which means that he's still only on 1 shield. Scripter, I don't believe, has any offensive upgrades, so it would be just a raw 3 swords attack. But 3 swords into 1 shield in case that does come up. Let's take a look. 3 swords into 1 shield is a 48% chance of success. So if Willy's willing to gamble on a coin flip here, he could close this game out.
He is going to try it. He's going to have to land it, and he's going to have to make his way through Final Frenzy.
Three swords coming in. Lots of shaking the dice for luck. Lots of clarifying upgrades. And that is no swords. Disappointment out of Willy there. Adjusting his hat. Wincing in disappointment.
For what it's worth, we do have a ton of charge tokens out there. So there may be another big score coming up for Gorechosen.
That's true. I had forgotten about that. I think every fighter is charged right now. Healing potion. He is the underdog, so he'll have a chance to get 1 extra point of healing here. And that has landed on a flanked, so no, just the 1.
That'll leave the wielder within
kill range if he loses priority. Now, Willy currently the underdog, which gives you a 61% chance of winning the roll-off.
Matteo's still got an activation.
That's true. Gorechosen are all charged out, but we've seen before what Reckless Fury can do. Asking him to place the charge token because there's probably a card in his hand that asks for that.
The Gorehulk is up to range 2 now, so there's a high value attack that could be happening.
And remember, the wielder is staggered, so definitely a lot to fear on Willy's end of the table. Dan Knight saying, I don't think we've seen a single successful underdog healing potion all weekend. I want to say I've seen at least 1, though I couldn't tell you when or where it happened.
You got 1 success, reroll, 2 successes.
On 2 dodge.
Willy's going to need 2 dodges or a crit will stand fast and save his bacon.
All right, here they come. And
there's a crit.
Willy got away with it. Matteo puts his hands on his head. I mean, you can't be too disappointed with having the wielder vulnerable, but you really would have liked to take him out there.
I think this is setting us up for a tremendous roll-off for the next round here.
Right,
and Willy will have the advantage on that.
Well, we'll see what the end phase does. I do want to read out for the stream. Roll-off success, if it is no underdog, is 50%, obviously, for each player. But if you are the underdog, you have a 61% chance of winning that roll-off. So
that's a helpful one to have.
Not a number that you want to shake a finger at, but we'll see at the end of the end phase who ends up being the underdog and whether that is going to make a crucial difference in this next round of the game and probably the game as a whole.
Yeah, my presumption here is that the Gorechosen will stay in the lead. They're currently 3 points of glory ahead, and I have a hard time imagining.
And Willy holds no objectives, so plenty of Cataclysm score is going to happen.
Oh, it is round 2.
It is round 2.
Folks.
We forgot to advance the tracker, so good catch there on the stream. Players discussing something, I'm not sure what. Maybe the potential for a drive back.
There might have been some blood tithe forgotten.
Willy rolling an attack. He gets a crit and not a crit or a success. Whatever that was.
I think that's the scripter.
Has thrown another shot downfield.
And here comes
the final frenzy. Obviously, he's got to spend it all. Zoom in on this. Oh, look at that. 2 crits. So healed himself back.
He's got more dice still.
And no crits this time. But 2 crits enough to save the Gorehulk. So Final Frenzy is now no longer an option for him and cannot protect him in future rounds. So the Gorehulk now on 2 wounds remaining, thanks to his great fortitude, but still definitely killable if Willy is able to get a good hit on him. Comment in the chat, I thought it was Willy's last activation shooting the scripter. I think because the Sharpener was slain earlier that he charged all 3 of his fighters and did have 1 activation left. choosing to use the scripter to shoot again. I don't believe that either of these players would miss someone taking an extra activation.
I am
Cataclysm
fairly
tracker.
confident that the Gorechosen activated first this round.
It did.
The Arena Mortis.
Arena Mortis has been scored. That's part of that charge token question we asked earlier. So 2 more glory here from Matteo. Putting him up to 10 total.
If I'm Willy, I'm okay with that having only been 2 glory. That feels like this is still within reach then.
And it's possible Willy has a couple scores of his own in his hand.
If Willy can get this kill, the Gorehulk goes down and takes a whole lot of his bounty with him, a lot of upgrades with him. What would be backbreaking here is if we saw
All of Blood, or Fields of Blood,
Bloody Momentum.
Yeah, multiple scores here out of Willy to get 4. Remains the
underdog. That's almost
yes, he is still the underdog, 9-11.
It's almost best possible scenario here because he really wants this roll off. So
close within 2, but still have a better chance of winning the roll off and likely therefore winning the game.
He's within 1 here. We're 10-9, I think.
Oh, you're right. I am really bad at counting. The Italian having a rows of 3 on his scoring. I'll tell you, most people count by 5s. I actually count by 4s. I'm kind of a weird guy. But I do not count by 3s.
Base 4. Despresso noting that this much slaughter in the game already would make, if it had been just round 1 and there's this much slaughter, Corn would be quite pleased. I think Corn in general is pleased with this world championship.
You know, the challenge when you fight against ghosts is they don't have skulls and they don't have blood. So you got to wonder how happy Corn really is. Some upgrade going out on the bearer of the block there. Willy drawing up some cards to get ready for the next round. So soon we should see some tokens clear and a roll off for the next. Remember, Willy being the underdog, he has a 61% chance
the roll off,
but a crit from Matteo.
Willy
needs a crit to win. Only 1 in 6. Here it comes. Not a crit. Matteo with a bit of a relief
big
look.
for a number of reasons. So obviously there's the 2 large heavy hitters that are going to try and club each other, and that gives the Gorehulk the head start on that. If Matteo drew into with utter ignorance, complete ignorance,
he could take an action and then apply that card to give
that, and then
yet another chance for the Gorehulk to survive. Question though is, he has 11 glory. Does he have 2 to spare on utter ignorance if he's drawn
he has
into
10.
it? I cannot count. I don't know how much glory and upgrades are out there, but if he doesn't have 2 to spare, he can't put utter ignorance on, as we learned last time.
He's quite accurate. He's got keen eye.
Willy's still with 3 of his War Scroll abilities. So
I think there's I think he's got glory to spare. I think that's only 6 glory worth of upgrades out on.
All right, so
on the Gorehulk.
Critically, we'll see if Matteo did draw into utter ignorance. Could make a big change in the shape of this game. Willy drawing his extra card for losing the roll off, and I think we should see Matteo take his first action pretty soon here. All right, resetting of the tokens. I don't think he would use Hair Axe to make this attack, but he certainly could. 3 swords. So all the upgrades being on the Gorehulk, you kind of want to get that accuracy out.
Yeah, Gorehulk's got 3 hammers on his attack right now because he's got keen eye.
Well, and he only needs to do 1 damage to kill I don't believe Great Fortitude is out there, so he might actually invest in that 5 hammers throttle we've seen before.
Oh, I see. That's a good point. Charge in. He's looking for a spot to make this kill, and then if he gets the kill, then he wants to force the bearer to take the one chance at it.
Because if he can land in the right spot, he can force the bear to charge. It's true.
Oh, interesting.
It is a range 2 attack, so he's also going to make...
There's no way he's giving him flank for free. He must be going after the bear.
He's getting 6 dice on this. He's borrowed one of Willy's.
See, 3 successes.
3 successes, no crit, but Standfast won't save him. So I'm not sure that there's much Willy can do.
Well, this is the choking, so I think crit would. A Standfast would actually come to the rescue here.
No, and I was completely wrong about the target of that attack as well.
Yeah.
Notably, if the bearer of the blade, the wielder of the blade does kill someone, he could bring the bearer of the block back, uninspired and with no upgrades, but still something. Matteo showing that he has scored a surge here. That's
Sunder the realm.
Overwhelming force.
He's going to attempt to kill with a ping. He's going to try and finish.
See, that's why he did that. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So he scored overwhelming force because he contained 4 or more dice in the attack. And now he's going to try and get that ping out. Willy reading the card to make sure he understands it.
So we're going to see who's going to get sundered first. Got him.
And down goes both the bearer of the block and the wielder of the blade before Willy has a chance to do anything. So that roll off, huge for Matteo rolling that crit there. Free bounty given up by the wielder of the blade.
That's going to put the Gorehulk pretty out of range because he's going to have to string together 2 hits from the scripter. Seems pretty unlikely. This is a lot of action for just the first turn.
First turn in the second or third phase, yeah, a
a
lot of resources being poured into this, but it was to great effect. So Matteo probably pretty happy with his expenditure there.
So he must charge, and if he's going to activate a fighter, that fighter must charge.
Those options are charge or focus here. Gotta imagine he's going to take the charge. See if he can put that first damage on the Gorehulk. Pray that Utter Ignorance doesn't come out. And then take one more charged out shot later down the line if he does not die to Herax's counterpunch.
I have to imagine Willy's looking for a spot that if he somehow... He doesn't want to set up where if Herax takes an attack and manages to drive him back, that he would all of a sudden be out of range or like out of line of sight of
But now,
Gorehulk.
interestingly, he's kind of got to drive the Gorehulk back as well to prevent him from throwing a range 2 attack later on. So, 3 swords with a reroll. Crit, and the reroll, just the 1 crit. Gorehulk with 2 failures. So 1 damage. 1 damage and stagger. Cataclysm tracker being at 3 means you got 3 defense dice. So Gorehulk takes 1 damage, will be staggered. Willy also not doing the condemned counter again, but not really valuable at this point anyway.
That's true. It's going to be up to Herax to save his big brother here.
Choosing not to drive back, though, because he wants to make sure that Herax, can't push him out of attack range for that final punch.
Well, and then he's also got driven by pain, so any drive back would heal.
Oh, that's a good point. I had forgotten about that. Willy does score a surge here, giving him 10 glory.
Currently on the board, Willy's repping most of his glory being consumed by upgrades. That's not the case because the wielder is dead.
Yeah, his slain fighter should clear all those upgrades and refund the glory to him. So easy to forget the glory is refunded with slain fighters in this edition, a relatively big change that we haven't had a lot of time to adapt to. Willy placing his recently drawn surge off to the side. Again, sportsmanlike, not able to score right now with any power cards.
Matteo doing some math, trying to decide if it's worth it to go or if he's going to retreat. He probably has the option to often Reckless Fury will have the option to slide charge tokens around.
Willy condemning the Gorehulk. Not sure if there's any value to that, but it's being done.
I don't think there's any functional.
Not anymore, because the scriptor is already inspired, and there's I don't believe there's any war scroll abilities that comment on the condemned fighter.
Get it done.
Yep, there it is. So the token has moved. Gorehulk is not charged out and can attack now.
I think we're going to see another 6-hammer attack come in here.
I have to imagine so. Willy placing another upgrade on the scriptor just to make sure things stay safe for him. Comment in the chat from Alberto. Why didn't he revive the bearer of the block? Well, the issue is you can only revive when you slay someone with the wielder of the blade, and the bearer of the block died immediately prior to the wielder. So the only person that was killed was actually killed by the scriptor, and it was before the bearer died. So no revive was possible.
Oh.
It looks like Matteo might actually be operating under the assumption that he needs to get out of town, keep the Gorehulk alive, and prevent that 3 bounty from heading his way. A lot of careful consideration of positioning here, as you expect out of top-level players. And Gorehulk taking a move action.
That's a considered play. You know, charge with 6 hammers almost guaranteed to kill the scriptor, but this may be the safer play, right?
Yeah, unless Willy has some relatively large push. Now, he could take the Discorporate action, which I think is part of what Matteo is considering here, is where can you Discorporate to, and can I still run away safely after the fact?
So he's got to figure out, is there a spot he can move to that then if yeah, he's even showing, he's miming Discorporate, and then I would go here, and then he would go here.
Now, if the Gorehulk moves and Willy Discorporates into the appropriate space, the Gorehulk will not be able to charge or perhaps even attack him. And that could give Willy one more chance at throwing that attack downfield.
You know you're playing with somebody who doesn't want to take any chances if they are thinking that the 6 hammer into 2 dodge attack is just too risky.
Yeah. Now, the scriptor does have a couple of upgrades on him. I don't remember which they are.
That's true. Blade catchers out there. Possibly agile. So there may be some extra defensive dice involved, which is what's concerning him so much.
Mateo's made his decision. He put him back in the same spot we had before.
I think that's the spot.
Yeah.
Because
any Discorporate location does kind of still put him in a dangerous place, either giving up flanked or within reach.
Be careful here. I think that is safe.
Because it means the Gorehulk cannot run from him, though he is in attack range with that high probability attack, as we discussed.
Yeah.
But, you know, Willy doesn't have too many other options. Anywhere else means the block text might prevent the shot, or the Gorehulk can get far enough away.
Ola dice coming in.
And we're looking for hammers, and we've got
Two
two.
of them. Oh,
And
that's not
that
going to
is
do it.
not what Willy wanted to see. So
Oh, it's only one, though.
I think there was utter ignorance on the scripter, which changes the math here a little bit. So we've killed him once, but you've got to kill him again.
I'm surprised. Is the Gorehulk staggered? Has he already been hit
the
once?
Gorehulk, I believe, should be staggered because the scripter did hit him once. I don't know if that's something that we missed, or maybe this Gorehulk cannot be staggered from some of those dozen upgrades he has out there.
Yeah, could be.
We'll assume the players know what they're doing.
Willy wants this one. Wants this one bad. Oh.
Remembering to pick up an extra die. And here they come. I think we're looking for hammers here.
I think it might be swords. Let's take a look at that war scroll real quick. Willy's pointing out what we just said, that he should be staggered. But I think
Matteo graciously placing a stagger token on the fighter. Inspired
on
scripter.
3 on swords.
Oh. Does have the reroll from the stagger. And possibly
like
another
reroll.
He has accurate as well. Yep. So looking for swords.
Not a 1.
Just not what you want. Defense getting 2 crits anyway. Huh. Italian defense remains strong.
I think Matteo knows he came up with a couple of very crucial rolls here.
Yes.
The biggest probably being the winning that roll off.
And
here comes the crushing.
2 successes on that throttle. So Willy could possibly get out of this one. And that's a crit, but a failure. And that's the end of the Headsman's curse there.
That's 1 bounty. And probably the game 1 going
I would imagine so, Matteo. Yeah. 7 glory lead. No fighters left for Willy. There's probably not a lot he can score. And so I imagine we'll take a couple of cursory things and then head to the end phase and close it out. That said, the score looks pretty big, but both players know that that was a very close game, and 1 or 2 dice rolls here or there could have absolutely changed how it all worked out. Incredible play, powerful moves there by Matteo to say, I'm going to take this charge against the bearer and then ping to death the wielder, taking out 2 big guys at once. Lots of scoring out of the Gorechosen here, just to kind of make sure that we have a comfortable lead. Willy lamenting not having
to show some of the things he had in his hand.
Willy lamenting not being able to use Get It Done. Yeah. Didn't have it at the right time. You do have to assume Reckless Fury takes a certain handful of cards in nearly every deck, so maybe not that secret of information, but yes, Willy is sharing something here with Matteo. And Matteo, I believe, is sharing some things in return, so opening up each other's lists. No players at this level of play, it's possible they've already kind of deduced what there is to deduce.
I think we, sounds like Matteo says he ended on 20.
20 or 21. I think if I'm counting by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17, and then however many he got in that end phase.
We're going to reset our glory counter.
Really complimenting Matteo on a good game.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think despite the lopsided score at the end, like you said, I think they know it was real close. Crucial dice roll came up, but also amazing setup from Matteo to get that double kill. Managing to take down in 1 turn both the bearer and the wielder.
Yeah, high risk play, but obviously very high reward.
Yep.
And considering the board state at the time, I think Matteo knew it was go big or go home, and looks like he went big and got away with it. So
Willy's gonna have to keep in his head that ping
is a possibility.
Rack the Realm. What is it?
In the Countdown to Cataclysm, there's a couple of different cards. The one that he played in that case was Sunder the Realm.
Sunder the Realm.
Roll a number of attack dice equal to your Cataclysm value for each fighter within 1 hex of neutral territory. That includes friendly. If the roll contains any hammer or crit, inflict 1 damage on that fighter. Now, at that stage of the game, the Cataclysm tracker was at 3, so he is rolling 3 dice. 3 50-50s is a pretty good chance of success.
Sure is, yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dice abandon you in crucial moments, as we saw last match. And there was the chance that he makes that play, kills the bearer, which gives him relatively less. The wielder's still alive, can take the Gore Hulk out, and it's a very different ballgame at that point.
I think what I like is a little nod to Dromm from first edition, Sunder the Realm, very similar to Wound the Realm, getting that everyone in neutral territory and adjacent to it has got a chance to get damaged.
A Dromm card now available in a universal pairing for anyone to use, but we've seen this Dromm make great use of it as well. I'm actually, relatively surprised with what Countdown to Cataclysm can do. We've seen Kagura use it well. Now we've seen Dromm use it well. It was the kind of deck that I thought I would take in more Horde warbands who were going to lose a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
And we're seeing elites leverage it in ways I hadn't anticipated. So,
yep.
The meta is not stable at all. Everything is very new, untested for many of us players. But I, at least, I think significantly undervalued Cataclysm's playability, and I've been shown at least the Italians have cracked the code on it.
I think what's interesting about it is it kind of salts in these other cards that give you a little more flexibility in your scoring, and then clearly the Italians appreciating the ping there, Sunder the Realm, adding even more damage into a Dromm warband. Holy cow.
Yeah, and that's if they needed more damage. Yeah, choosing to forego Blazing Assault, kind of a surprise, but it worked out for him so far this tournament, having taken down several very strong players coming out of Pool 4, which, hard to quantify this, but many consider to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest of the 4 pools.
Yeah.
Matteo did quite well there and won his first round in the top cut against a known great player, and is already 1 game up on yet another, internationally famous, strong player. So Matteo making a name for himself this weekend for sure.
That Pool 4 is being informally referred to as the Gladiator Pit.
So. Yes, and we seem to have the champion of gladiators right here. And I do suppose the Italians do know a thing or two about gladiators. All right, let's head back to the board. I think they are ready to make some moves here. Willy indicating that Matteo has board choice in this game too. You do draw your cards before you take those steps in second edition of the game, so we'll have those players get their cards, and then after that's known, Matteo will make his choice.
Bryn is asking how the matchups were decided. This week had 4 pools. 3 had 12 players and 1 had 10. That means there were 46 players. The top 4 from each pool were combined together to create a top 16. And those top 16, based on their records and tiebreakers, were seeded. So the highest ranking undefeated was the number 1 seed, who would then play the number 16 seed. As they single eliminate their way up, it's just like a traditional elimination bracket. I don't, off the top of my head, actually know what seed either of these fellas was.
I can't say that I do either.
No.
I think Matteo had a 5-1 record coming out of pools, so you got to imagine he's near the top. I think Willy took 2 losses, so somewhere in the middle of the pack. Actually, Matteo may have been undefeated, now that I think about it.
Say it again?
Matteo may have been undefeated. I'm not sure he did take a loss. I'll run through the BCP and see if I can find how he did. We don't have in front of us the actual numeric pairing numbers for placing in this top 16, but we can infer what happened in prior rounds. All right, so looking through here, Matteo won his first match of the pools against Blake Dixon of the United States. Then in round 2.
Good. You guys are great. It's a great match. Yeah.
Then Matteo run his second round against Amon Khusro, also of the United States. Against James Waters of England. Despite actually having a lower total glory across that match, he did win the best 2 out of 3. In the 4th round, Matteo beat Skyler, also of the United States, doing a number on us. In the 5th round, Matteo won against Diego, 37 to 34 tight fought match there. And then in round 6, we see Matteo again won against Damien of Canada. So actually, yes, Matteo is undefeated at this point. He is on an 7 match win streak and ahead in this 8th round. So dominant play out of him so far.
Impressive. Matteo carefully examining this board. Willy taking a moment to look over and make sure that there's all kinds of folks.
There are a lot of people talking, yeah. How many people? Let me see if I can find out the live numbers right now.
I'll let you know.
What I do know is someone's complimented your knuckle dusters, though.
Little Willy with enough energy to banter with the broadcasting booth and not just his opponent.
We have 700 live viewers right now. 700 live viewers. Underworlds is not dead, Willy says, and I think I agree.
Matteo, tip of the hat to some of the choices they got them there. He said a lot of gambling in that game and paid off.
Well, sometimes
he's settled on this alignment.
Sometimes when you gamble, you win. And whatever gambling he's been doing has led him to an undefeated record so far. So the house always wins, and the house just might be Matteo. All right, feature token placement. Matteo placing things in the middle of the board, possibly to set up another one of those Sunder the Realms, but maybe to score a couple countdown cards as well, though probably not as oriented on hold as we saw out of Kagra earlier.
I think the other thing he's going to be interested in is, so placements there near the stagger hexes are going to set up the push. So need to have some awareness now. There's a lot of potential danger points for Willy to have to navigate here. Willy getting another one in there that is at least not in the Sunder zone.
Hearing from an Italian fan on the stream that Matteo back home in Italy often gets very high placings in the local tournaments and is regarded as one of the strongest players in their scene. And watching that last game, I can see why. All right, down goes the bearer of the block. No block Texas this time, so Matteo will have less to worry about with Dromm's positioning in that range to attack.
We're not looking to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we can take a look real quick. The matchups for tomorrow, we're going to start. We'll only have 2 rounds tomorrow, and that will be starting the first round at 9 in the morning, which would be
2 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, and then the championship will be played at 2 local, so 7 p.m. UK time. Mark those on your calendars because we're going to be right here. Hopefully, we'll still be able to talk, and we'll be back at you with that. But, man, we got to find out who's going to those.
We do, yeah. I'm not sure that any of the other championship games are done. I do see the Canadians are still playing and the Italians are still playing, and I believe the Brits are still playing as well. So none of the semifinal has been determined yet as far as I'm aware.
Scripter positioning himself to be able to curse Dromm again, or condemn Dromm, sorry. Oh, and everybody else being real far away.
I wonder what the story is there. Maybe Willy seeing he needs to make a change in tactics. Knowing Dromm is likely to come in fast, though the reason that he did is because he made it so the Gorechosen wasn't able to do that. All right, brotherly handshake across it. Roll off happens. Swords do beat hammers in this edition of the game, so, but surrounded does not. So looks like Matteo's got the priority. So not only able to orient the boards and force Willy into a bad token and fighter positioning, but also able to take the first turn should he so choose. And it looks like that's That's what he might want to do. Both players placing the tokens on their War Scroll cards to indicate that they have all their abilities back as we are started a new game. All right, Cataclysm Tracker back at 1. Blood Tithe presumably at 0. Matteo looking through his deck. And it looks like he's going to be taking Activation 1 after all.
Willy going for it first. Dromm, unsurprisingly, getting himself condemned. What do we think? We think we just got people coming in swinging right away? 1, 2,
I don't know.
3,
Interesting
4.
that Matteo is allowing Willy to take the first move here.
I think
maybe he doesn't have a good charge target that he wanted.
I think
so
that's
he's going to try and draw Willy out. The question is, does Willy take the bait? Willy does have to play cautiously here because we've seen he can take a lot of damage fast if he's not careful, and he is down by 1 game now.
So if it was me, I might, I like this, charge the scripter and then put the scripter somewhere where if Matteo wants to charge back at him, he's got to get himself in charge range of the rest of the headsmen.
Maybe the case.
Wielder's gonna have a hard time. There's plenty of spots for Dromm to charge. Yeah, Dromm can charge to the very south.
See a crit and 1
Willy
shield.
cheering with a crit hit. Putting some Blood Tithe out right away. We're gonna try and keep our own. We're having a hard time reading those tiny Blood Tithe counters. I'm gonna do my best to keep track of the Blood Tithe. We are now at 1. Choosing the drive back.
You know, I'm starting to think that no wound tokens have been placed out here. So I don't know.
Oh,
it may have actually been a miss because
you're right.
One crit versus 1 shield, and I think he does hit on swords right now.
I thought there was a crit hit for some reason.
No, unfortunately for Willy, not the case. But no Blood Tithe either, so less to worry about there.
And my tracker is already off.
He did score a surge. I didn't see the card, but Willy giving himself 1 glory.
Neither did I. Here comes the Gore Hulk.
And that's 1 success.
That bear is really looking for the dodge. Doesn't get it.
Not this time. That's 3 damage coming at him. And, crucially, a Blood Tithe.
And
to draw it back into the stagger. Not exactly the opening Willy wanted to see. And because there's no successes, the perfect cut. Again, a card that people may have been underrating. You're throwing damage into a 1-dodge fighter, their odds of success without rerolls or any support is actually only 1/3. So do that enough times and you will score it eventually. Dice-dependent surges can be difficult for some people, but it's paying off for Matteo so far. And the improvised attack, he does not even need the charge. Reroll it from the stagger, but 2 swords. Not enough to score it for him. Would have been interesting to see him finished off that way and still available to give a double charge out of the Blood Tithe.
Yeah. That's another card I actually undervalued quite a bit.
Being able to do range 3 from anyone during a power step, more utility than I gave it at first glance. Sharpened points coming out on the wielder, so cleave there.
I think we can essentially think of that ranged attack as, a randomized ping, right? But it can clearly be used against a vulnerable fighter, which is a rarity.
And perhaps more importantly, in some builds, not only is it a randomized ping, it's a potential drive back off of a token, into charge range, into adjacency, a number of other uses. So positionally valuable as well.
If you care about attacks.
Anything that cares about, say, keep chopping, you can score it that way. The Frenchman singing. Apparently they're doing quite well across the other games. I think it's a happy birthday to one of their streamers. All right, here comes an attack from the wielder of the blade. Willy rolling 2 dice here with cleave. And that's
Double
crit, Willy! Matteo says, I cannot complain.
Now, no inspire for the wielder because that was not
the condemned fighter.
Condemned fighter.
So that could end up being critical to the outcome of the rest of this game. And the wielder already having charged. And, you know, can't fault Willy for doing it, but it ends up sharpened points, not even useful because he rolled a double crit. Placing his fighter on guard, though, we now have a, I believe, 2 dodge on guard wielder of the blade. So should he try to use that blood tithe for a second charge against the wielder, it's a little lower probability now. 2 hammers into 2 guard for those who are interested. Statistically, only a 19% chance of success. So not the best play, though. Again, we've seen sometimes you got to gamble and sometimes you win.
Herrick's or Dromm coming up next. Herrick's could get in and manage to kill on the bearer, but in order to do so, I think he's going to grant.
Going to put himself in a flanked, yeah. But he does have the reroll from stagger, so not a bad choice. It's 2 bounty, and with the wielder charged out, there's less to fear. And it keeps. There
it is.
Oh, violent blast pushing some people around, probably getting the wielder out of the way.
Yeah.
And allowing him to charge into a much safer position,
or further back.
Curiously staggering the wielder of the blade, who remains on guard and still is 2 defense, but that kind of suggests we're setting up for something entirely different here.
This tells me that Matteo thinks he's got a line on maybe putting some significant damage on the wielder right now.
Yeah. The wielder, a 5-wound fighter. He could potentially charge with Herax. Use Enrage to charge with Dromm. He was playing Get It Done to pass that token around. So, yeah, it doesn't even need to Enrage to charge with the Gorechosen again. And that could be 2 and 3 damage. And that itself could get the job done, as the card says.
Commanding stride, stepping away.
Willy getting out of danger, pretty smart. I think he may still have some risk there, but not nearly as much as he had before. All right, a change of tactics here with the wielder pretty safely out of option. Gorechosen is going to come in and attack the scripter.
Having used the power card to shuck off the charge token on Dromm. I think he's looking to get, if anything,
2 dice hammers, but
nothing.
No successes.
Damage on another fighter would have been handy for him. I think it could be setting up Wreckers. If he, it's an easy early score for him. He just needs to have 2 fighters damaged. Both warbands really having opened up some room between the 2 of them. Driven by pain or fueled by pain. Drive back and he heals. So
I don't know that there were too many options to drive the Gorechosen back right now, but will be useful throughout the duration of the game. Willy removing a charge token from the wielder. I don't know that he has any valid targets right now. No, he's a move 4. He could take Herax's head off if he wants.
Yep. As a reminder, Willy is also using Reckless Fury. We think of it more in terms of what it's benefiting the Gorechosen because we've seen it so much there, but pretty powerful to activate the wielder for another charge. He's going to shuck his guard token along the way.
Making sure that he's not in some kind of situation to get punched back. And he is doing twist the knife to make sure that he finishes Herax off. So possibly 4 damage coming in here if he hits.
He's got
2
cleave.
hammers.
2 hammers on
2
cleave.
hammers with cleave. Let's see. Crit.
Needs a crit to live.
And
That's
that
not
is
going to
not
do it.
it. So Herax is taken off the board. Blood Tithe does come. Oh,
Oh.
that's a good point. If he used Twist the Knife for Grievous, he did not use Cleave because you cannot have 2 rune marks. So, all right. So no damage done. Good work on Matteo catching that. Rune marks do not stack. He can only use 1. And the opportunity to kill more valuable to Willy than Cleave there, but it ends up that instead of 3 damage, it's none.
That could prove to be crucial. We don't see a lot of misplays, but I'm sure Willy was doing the math on that.
Imagining that
charge.
Cleave would help him out there, yeah.
Needed the cleave, but the odds on that are not nearly as good.
Yeah. Cleave would have helped him hit, but not kill Herax.
Yeah.
So he opted to take the chance to kill. Does drive back, and not sure how he got that push effect, but he did. Perhaps it was his own. No, he doesn't play Cataclysm.
No, that was using overrun.
Yes, yes.
The crit to the critical success to the normal success.
He did roll more successes of critical nature, so even though he didn't hit, he can still drive back and follow.
Or could Willy possibly have another way to get around? I think it looked like he was down to.
He's already passed his his charge token off. He could have another power card to give the sharpener a charge token, which would let him take 1 more swing. Staggering.
At a crit.
One
with
with
a
a crit.
reroll because he's now staggered.
Reroll has not got to success, so 2 defense here.
There's a success as well.
1 success. But the potential
he can
for drive
overrun him in
back.
turn if he wants.
Potential for drive back. Kind of taking that option away from Willy there.
Despite my claims to the contrary, I have not been keeping track of Blood Tithe. I think we're on to. I think there's been just 2 real big haymaker hits that have landed so far. Everything else has been misses.
Yep, sharpener charging
little
in.
Sharpener who could.
Put 1 more damage on there, and then Willy can more safely say, okay, fine, I'll use my cleave then.
Nothing at
Reroll,
all.
he
but
needs
he's
a
got
sword
a
here. There's 1 sword.
And another success.
But he could drive him back towards the wielder if he wants.
It's a tough call. The Gorechosen still have another activation, but yeah, there we go. We're being told that there's an hour and a half remaining in the round.
As we're approaching the second round of our second game, we are about halfway through a best of 3, so perhaps slightly behind schedule if we do go to 3 games.
Here comes Enrage. He's been holding on to it. So
interestingly, neither player scoring a lot of glory so far.
No.
Each only with 1. Enrage leads to
success.
a crit and a success, so
off the bear.
There goes the scripter of the sentence.
Oh, the scripter.
Oh, but only doing 2 damage.
Oh.
Clear on what exactly happened there. It was Dromm who took the charge, that's why.
I see, yep. Oh, we're having trouble keeping up. Been a lot of games. This would be the 8th match, so that means we've done, this is our 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere in the range of 19. Oh, here's another attack now that he's in, because that was the
because that was his enrage and not his attack during the round.
Scripter going to try and survive here.
That's defensive crit.
Oh, wow.
Crucial roll there.
My best count on the Blood Tithe is we're back up to 2. Here comes the scoring. I think we're going to see some big scores off of. Arena Mortis coming in for Willy. And one more. We had Arena Mortis and a One Glory. Check that. There's more glory there than I realized. Willy appearing to be up to 6. Couldn't quite see everything. If anyone else on the stream caught it, let us know.
I have to admit, I didn't see that big score coming out of Willy. I
Not at all,
looked at the number of failed attacks and thought, you know, he's not doing too hot right now, but 6 is not a bad amount of glory to have right now. We'll see what Matteo has to counter.
So the scripter's still alive. There will be another condemned fighter next round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If Willy goes first, he will have his pick of any of the Gorechosen.
Bloody momentum for 2. Wreckers.
Yep, there
2.
was one of the few things that's.
And the Cataclysm value, which is currently at 1 according to his tracker. So that's a 5 glory end phase, and we are tied at 6.
Man.
So no tiebreaker here for the second round roll off. And it is anyone's game.
Willy's got his entire war scroll still to spend. 6 to 6 is a score. I don't think we've seen Call of Blood yet, but we have seen Enrage.
Yes.
I can see this one as a Reckless Fury, one that's got Hrothgorn on it.
Take a look if I can figure that one out. Upgrade. It's called Bellowing Tyrant. This is an upgrade that grants you a core ability called Bellow. This fighter can use this core ability if they have any charge tokens. Push each other friendly fighter with any charge tokens up to 2 hexes. Then pick one of those fighters and remove one of that fighter's charge tokens. I don't believe we've seen this card played.
No.
It is a high cost to use one of your 12 core abilities throughout the course of the game, but you do get to reposition 2 fighters and take a charge token off of one of them so they can charge again. So
And
in the right circumstance, might be quite useful.
This is the kind of thing that you're seeing from the Italians is these unexpected pairings and unexpected cards, finding value and routes of play that people aren't used to responding to.
All right, that one is
Willy
a win for
that.
Willy. Willy is choosing to go first, quite loudly declaring that
condemn.
fact. I think he remembers how much it hurt last time to not be able to go first.
See if he can slow himself down enough to remember to condemn somebody.
And he has.
Yep. Oh,
looks
Matteo
like it's
helping him out there. Good
going on
sportsmanship there.
Herax. The wielder inspired would be something he would like to see. So we'll probably see. That said, Herax is not within kill range right now unless he can use Grievous, which will, again, negate his cleave.
Well, unless he's got power card support.
Will he just make it a straight attack? He doesn't have to kill Herax to inspire the wielder. That is true. 2 dice hammers. He's choosing cleave. And now very frustrated is Willy, not able to roll any hammers. Throws his head back, leans back in his chair, pumps his fist. You get the sense the wielder inspired is a big part of any Headsman's game plan, but absolutely in the Gorechosen matchup.
Definitely. Have we talked about the odds of 2 hammers with cleave into shields? Is that something we track?
Well, we have 2 hammers, and we could call it a crit as a defense, which is what we would do. So 2 hammers against 1 crit is 66.67%.
All right.
So 2/3 chance to get it there. So there is a world where you miss, but you feel like better than average odds.
Yep.
But a 1 in 3 going against Willy here.
Matteo says he would like to play 1 card, sir.
Very polite.
You know, Sunder the Realm as well is a way to splash out a whole bunch of damage and
to get your blood tithe count up while you're at it. Yeah. Another angle there. Lots of things that we just have not seen.
Keen eye. We got the Gorehulk powering up. I think the scripter is not long for this world.
Having only 1 wound left. The scripter is a 3-wound fighter?
4-wound fighter.
4-wound fighter, so he'll need to use the big punch for it, but he will have flanked and an extra die. Matteo passing in the power step and scoring a surge.
Too close for comfort. This is a...
All his fighters are near enemies after a power step. And that was Willy's power step, so I think he can score that. So 3 hammers from the Gorehulk coming in on the scripter of the sentence. 3 damage will be enough to negate even stand fast. And he also has flanked. 2 successes.
I think that's going to be undefendable.
I don't believe, yeah. Willy not even electing to roll, just removing the fighter. There's 1 bounty, 1 blood tithe. Looks like we have a utter ignorance has been placed on the Gorehulk, so
brutal.
Now we're in a very tough spot. If you're Willy, another Italian has come over to spectate. It looks like their game is finished. I'll check for the Italians who are staying up late to watch this, how that one went. All right, so in the matchup between the 2 Italians, Daniele of the Thricefold Discord has taken Alessandro out. So Thricefold advancing to the final 4, and a pretty commanding score, 42-19. So Alessandro, despite playing very well on the last match on the stream, not able to answer for what the Thricefold Discord has to offer. So maybe we'll see them in the next round and find out what our 3rd Italian competitor is capable of.
So if you're wondering why the wielder charged in this spot that he's already adjacent to his fighter, it's because Fury of Akshi got played, which is any adjacent fighter must charge. If they're gonna
now
activate.
He does get a crit and a hammer on it, and presumably again using that cleave, inspiring himself because Herax was the target who was condemned. No point in rolling a 1 die against 2 successes without the ability to stand fast, so Matteo putting the 3 damage there, and Willy not driving him back, which I think is a smarter play here to allow flanked for the finishing hit and inspiring another fighter.
Despresso, don't feel too bad about the Italians having to play Italians, as has been mentioned a couple times. We got Canadians versus Canadians, and we have
the UK
Brits
playing
Brits.
itself as well. So nationally speaking, it guarantees that of those 3, they'll all be represented in the semis, but it also does mean that they only get 1, unless, of course, Matteo can pull out a win here and send 2 Italians to the semifinals. But don't count Willy out. I've learned that the hard way.
Frenzied Rush scoring for Gorechosen. And we should mark ourselves as being in round 2. We're having a hard time. Remember to keep that. I should be interested in what the listeners think on the stream, which, although we've already determined the result there, Alessandro and Daniele, which one of those, the Thricefold or Kagras, would have are likely to go the distance when they make it into the next bracket and face a bunch of Gorechosen.
Well, I will say, from my understanding, Daniele's Thricefold defeated 4 or more Dromm to get to the position he's in. So he seems to have figured them out. Now, of course, there are different play styles and different deck pairings, as we see here, and perhaps the answer doesn't exist for all of them. But if anyone can do it, it might be the Thricefold, at least under his captainship.
Well, that's interesting. We just got great fortitude on Dromm. I think it must be, I mean, if we've got ignorance out on the Gore Hulk, he's just trying to make all his targets too hard to finish off.
And we still do have Final Frenzy. Has not been used. You'd hate to do it before you inspire, but
yeah.
he can make it so that Willy has quite a difficult time taking any of them down. Wielder
Call
is
of-
inspired, but has charged.
Mhm.
If he survives into the third round, we'll see what he can do with that.
Yeah. Call of Blood, I think, was just used to move the two Gorechosen, Dromm and Herrick's together. I think he must be setting up a counterpunch zone. If you want to come in, you're going to have to get punched back in the face. Matteo wanted, oh, here we go. Sharpener is going to try and get in on the action.
If nothing else, but to kill Herrick's and prevent that surrounded situation if the bearer decides to join the party.
3 swords, nothing else, is what Willy's saying.
And I see 1 sword.
1 sword.
That's
going
it.
to be a 50-50 on defense.
And that's not a shield, so down Herrick's goes. That inspires the Sharpener, just for fun. Gets him another bounty, but does drop another Blood Tithe. Where do you think we're at on the Blood Tithe tracker?
My best guess is that we're at 6.
Okay, so not too far away from an inspiration. Another surge based on charge tokens for Matteo here.
You know, I think it seems like not only have the Italians built a strong deck, but they built a deck that is operating slightly on different lines than some of the other Dromms that we've seen. And what that means is that some of the play patterns that folks are used to, they're being surprised, I think, a little bit. And they even if they can consider, he's pushing through. Nope. What do we got? I think this is
Power card to could have been. Oh, you know, it's probably diving in there.
Yeah,
diving
I think
in.
so.
Push himself to must head adjacent to a fighter with a charge token. So if he has another sidestep or some other similar effect, he might be able to get in there to take one more swing. If he can get charged out after the bearer's activation.
I think Hidden Aid just came down on the wielder, making that fighters adjacent to him are flanked. That's a nice little accuracy boost.
And notably, one of his war scrolls says that if you have a flanked fighter, you can do Cackling Court, and it doesn't actually have to have a fighter flanking. So that upgrade will trigger that if he decides to use that war scroll ability. That said, we have 2 pretty hard to get through defensive upgrades on both the remaining Khorne fighters.
As a reminder for folks who can't see behind Willy's name tag, the Sharpener is inspired now. Sharpener not getting a spectacular amount out of the Inspire. We'll take a quick look. I think it actually increases his damage slightly. I think he has his option of maybe Grievous or Cleave.
I think he has still 3 swords, but he gains Grievous, if I'm correct.
Crit Grievous is what
Crit
he gets.
Grievous, okay. The old style.
Just sorting out who went first. Matteo confident, and he is correct here that Willy went first.
All right, Dromm charging away, seeing if he can do something to the Sharpener here. That is a 1 success on hammers. Inspired, the Sharpener is 2 dodge.
Even uninspired. My understanding is that we'll get 1 for the kill and 1 for, so I think we're going to see an Inspire here, unless I've lost count, which is totally possible.
I think the damage does the Blood Tithe, but the kills themselves don't affect that number.
Yep, it's the other part of the Dromm's War Scroll. Damaging will do it, and then they also get Blood Tithe equal to the bounty.
Bounty of the fighter, that's true. Yeah. And the Sharpener, I believe, is worth 1 bounty.
It's called the Blood Tithe and Brutal Reckoning are the 2 different ones here. We're going to bump. Mateo's at 11. I think he must have got me. Willy right there at 8. He's just got to find a way to leverage. He's putting head case on, maybe?
Yeah, so he can choose to make a fighter in the power step have a charge token. So he's going to give the bearer of the block a charge token in the power step. So he's now charged out. What he's going to do with that, I don't know yet.
It tells me he must have a push.
Looks like he's played it.
Yep. And he is just going to power through the utter ignorance of the Gore Hulk. With that in Final Frenzy, if he's going to get the Gore Hulk down, it seems likely that he's going to have to kill him 3 times.
Well, it's best to do it before he inspires if possible. So far, no inspiration, so either we're wrong on the tracker or Matteo hasn't noticed. Looks like 3 dice coming here out of Willy looking for hammers. He does have cleave and I don't know if he has 3, just 2, but
2.
it's crit and a success. He is flanked. I don't know. He didn't use a War Scroll ability, but crit success here. The Gore Hulk on only 1 defense, so utter ignorance is gone, and I think we still have to damage him up to the edge of death here. So some more wound tokens going down. Final Frenzy still on the table, though, of course.
Yep. Final Frenzy on the table. Gore Hulk in that Sunder zone, so got to be careful with that.
Yeah, if he wants to use that to tag somebody, then he can get himself as well, though. With the wielder at full health,
there we
may
go
not be the best play. Inspire has happened, so you can Final Frenzy without fear of losing too much.
Matteo begging to be driven back.
Yeah, he wants to heal and stay away from the wielder, but Willy a little too smart for that one.
Well, I don't know. What do we think? Do you think Matteo stays and fights, or do you think he walks away? If he's right adjacent, so he's got a crazy accurate attack. He could probably drive the wielder back.
Yeah, I mean,
Keen Eye coming down on the Gore Hulk. So he's got the option of a 3 hammer, 3 damage attack, or a 6 hammer, 2 damage attack, because that is 1 with Grievous.
I mean, he's ahead, but not by a lot. And if you disengage now, you risk giving Willy a bunch of end phase scores that close the gap.
I think that's valid.
You might need to try and put your foot to his throat while you still can. I would be attacking if I were the Gore Hulk.
Yeah, the big swing here.
3 successes, one of them being a
Willy
crit.
could double crit it to nope.
And that's not what's happening today.
Looks like he'll take 2. We're putting the blood tithe at 9. We're gonna try.
It should be 9 now.
Yeah.
And a drive back as well.
If Willy's got a push, he can try and finish off the Gore Hulk. Overwhelming force. Said with a dramatic
You rolled at least 4 dice in an attack, so yet another countdown to Cataclysm card that plays very well with the Gorechosen. Card that just got shown is called Furious Might. It is from the Reckless Fury deck. This fighter's melee weapons have Grievous, while this fighter has any charge tokens and is not using the charge ability. So Matteo's saying it doesn't do anything now, but may come into play later on.
And that is the point he's making there is that he already has a charge token, so he meets that condition, but granting Grievous, he's already got it on that 6 dice crazy attack. Another great reason for this pairing, that Gore Hulk is able to bring so many dice to bear and get that real easy. Did you swing hard, bud?
Willy's scoring, keep chopping in another card to bring his glory total up to what looks like 10. Let's see what Matteo can answer with.
Willy with his entire War Scroll still to use. If he can get a kill, he can bring
Matteo about to do his end phase, see if he scores any cards.
I suspect
loaded for bear, so he's got a lot of upgrades out on one fighter. Arena Mortis is scored for 2. That'll be, I believe, 3 more for him. Up by 5, but with all the big hitters still on the board, it could go any direction.
Dromm has 6 health if Dromm were to become the new target. And I think we're looking at 9 blood tithe.
At least 9 dice for Final Frenzy, so 1.5 crits on average there, which is just south of what you would want.
That said, the wielder, if he comes in with the big swing, is going to force a fair amount of crits. Around the roll-off,
Willy gets flanked, which is the worst result. And my apologies, that was Matteo with the worst result. So Willy winning priority again here.
I will say I see the red dice, and I assume it's got to be corn.
Gotta be.
It's got to go in, right? Is there another play there?
I mean,
coming in with a bearer.
Oh, interesting. Will not be staggered as he has flying. Not sure what the story is here. Maybe he doesn't want to charge with the wielder before he has to. And 2 damage here will cause an overkill to make Final Frenzies a little bit more difficult to succeed on, bring him back to full health. And it leaves the wielder of the blade still able to charge Dromm if he wants. All right, so by my understanding, this is 2 hammers.
2 damage.
And there is an upgrade on the bearer, but I don't remember which
It's
one
a
it
head
is.
case.
Head case, which isn't in play here, but that is 1
Looking for a shield.
success.
That's
And that
like
is a crit. Willy can't believe it. Tugging on his hat. Doesn't
Matteo pointing out that he was also in cover, which
so
was
actually
making that
2
even better
successes
odds.
in that case.
They were not amazing odds on that attack. I'm seeing on Matteo's board, he has the ability to mark which player went
Round
first.
and the game. I think that's a custom Italian board.
Yeah. But it's not even game. It's we got round number, and on the right, he's got first player.
Marking. That is important too,
Yeah.
to be able to say, because can't say the number of times that I've had games come down to it and say, do you have one more activation? I don't remember who went first. I don't know. That feels like a long time ago. So to have that marked out, as long as you make sure that you said it correctly at the beginning of each round, that can be very useful.
Deep breath from Willy, trying to settle.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a rough spot having missed that attack. That could have been pretty big for him. And now he has the Gorechosen capable of answering with either fighter.
Slippy, I think that's not entirely true. He's definitely used Cackling Court, and he's definitely used Discorporate last game. Used both those abilities.
I can't say he's used either this time. No Discorporate, no Cackling Court that I'm aware of. Hasn't raised anyone. I don't know that he's used any. All of his tokens are still there.
Oh, this game he hasn't used any. Slippy is pointing out that he thought he had only used 1 War Scroll ability across both games.
No,
but
that was
I know he used 2 last
game.
time. Yeah, but I know they're all available right now. That Gorehulk's going to almost certainly clean up the bearer here.
Yeah, with only 1 wound remaining, and he's got
that 6 dice
coming in.
Oh.
You wonder if he wants to charge so that he can access that Grievous with his charged out state. That upgrade.
Interesting.
And
sure.
then kind of force Willy to get away from him.
Oh.
Or he's just coming in for the big punch.
I don't care about you, bear.
Well, having already charged, the bear is a little bit less of a concern in his mind, and I can imagine that's true.
Passing up 2 bounty is not nothing.
All right, some confusion about whether the power step is over yet. Blade Catcher has been applied, so and there's also great fortitude on the wielder of the blade, so he's 6 wounds, and you cannot use rune marks against him.
But still going in after him. Interesting.
All right, well, 2 hammers, or 3 hammers for 3 damage, or...
I was going for the 3 for 3. There's a crit in there.
But nothing else. Willy on 2 defense.
Remember, he's got hidden aid, so there's a crit.
And 2 crits! A big woo. Ric Flair out of Willy.
It's my suspicion. I might be wrong about this, but I think Matteo probably has some kind of push to get Gorehulk in a protected spot. I don't think he would have risked utter conviction. So he just jumped up to 3 defense dice.
3 defense since the Cataclysm tracker is on 3.
Unfortunately, Cleve is going to carve through a fair number of those.
Yeah, but there are crits on the sidings of those dice.
We are unable to read that one. It may be that you have to make the charge action.
If he has that, then he'll force, and that might be why he moved adjacent.
Yep, there we go.
That'll do it.
So that one wasn't the upgrade, but it was the gambit. Counter charge coming in. Dromm's going to get a position to, well, he's got to be adjacent, but he's going to pick up a position to try to smack the wielder. Nope, he's just going
to be there to provide flank.
Interesting. He is all in on actually taking this wielder down. He must feel like he's got to do it.
All right, looks like 5 dice coming here out of Willy.
This is thanks to an underdog determined effort. He's going to have Cleve here. This feels like a good chance he's going to drop this Gorechosen.
Yeah, well, we do have Final Frenzy yet to come.
Yep. Countercharge in first edition. Oh, we're adjusting the final spot
to where he lands. Yeah.
I think this is. Yep.
All right, 5 dice, hammers with Cleve. Gorechosen on 3 shields with flanked.
Cleve's going to knock those out, so it's just going to be. Yeah.
Crit and flank. And
2 successes.
2
Not
successes
amazing.
with Cleve.
See if it's enough.
Crit and a flanked, so 2 successes as well, and no drive back because there's more crits in the defensive role.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. Willy put a lot of resources into that, and he is so upset. I think he may have had brutal and forgotten it, or something. Well, you can only
either way. You can only do one because so either he negates that flanked or he negates that.
You imagine Cleve is more useful there. There's something Willy appears to have forgotten that he's a little upset about. Seems to have.
Willy saying that was the game.
Biggest mistake of the game, he says. Kind of a realization passing over Willy's face. There's not really much else he can do here. Flanked with a big punch coming back his way.
Oh, I know what he's saying. He should have used the cackling court.
Because of the yes, that would do it.
That would have done it. Willy with kind of 2 big errors in this one. One is bringing out Twist the Knife, forgetting that it didn't stack with Cleve. And
the other one now not using Cackling Cord, and really his best opportunity to use it. Now he can use it again should the wielder survive, the bearer finds a way to get over there, or the wielder gets to take another swing. So it's not necessarily out for him, but it does mean he has to wait another activation for his chance. And he'll need a push now to catch up with the Gorechosen as well.
It is understandable. 8 matches into this Worlds event.
Well, and again, Willy not really having a lot of opportunities to practice. It's easy to forget things, and the Headsmen's Curse are shaping up to be a relatively complicated warband you have to play quite well to do well with. We've seen a couple of other players bringing Headsmen here. Willy the only one making the top cut. And I know for a fact, George, one of them who brought it, very skilled in general, particularly skilled with the Headsman.
Yep.
And I don't believe making the top cut. So in this iteration of the game, the Headsman's Curse do require a lot of finesse to use.
I think it's especially notable. There was some folks talking about. Oh, wow.
Oh, nothing to do. 2 crits and a flank success. And a surge. Yeah, I think Willy sees the writing on the wall.
Yeah. It's easy to think that when you're rolling that many dice that,
of course I'm going to get this, right?
I'm going to get it.
Determined effort as an underdog. I've got Cleve. I have flanked. What more can you ask for? Cackling Court could have tipped that over for him. Willy asking what upgrades are on which fighters and whether the Fury Have Actually card still applies.
Yeah.
So he does not have to charge. He could move and then attack. And he doesn't have to charge if adjacent, so it does open up an option for him to do a multi-activation or maybe a focus and drawing into a push. The Gorechosen doing the job for him, though, closing the distance there. Oh, my apologies.
Nope.
That was a card out of Willy.
Yep.
Lure of Battle to bring him over. And knowing that he doesn't have to charge while adjacent, because that upgrade's not out on the table, Willy will get another try, and you have to imagine he's going to use Crackling Court this time. But he doesn't have determined effort, so he won't have as many dice to throw.
Should be 3, and presuming
3 dice.
you're gonna leave it off again.
Pulling Cackling Court off the War Scroll. Realized he didn't do it again. 2 dice, 2 successes with Cleave though, so there's still a chance.
Yep.
Willy